Today is Sunday and therefore it is a cooking day. I like to batch cook so that when I've got everything going on during the week, I have plenty of food to sustain me when I'm working on the house or I'm going to French classes, because I'm currently doing French classes 4 mornings a week, which is part of the OFI offering post-Brexit for the people from the UK. And if you're from anywhere else that's not part of the European Union, then you go to them, get tested for your French, and if your French isn't up to par for the basic level, which mine wasn't, even though I can sort of do basic, holiday type French, asking for things, then you get those. I think it's like 200 hours or 400 hours, depending on where you come from, and your limitations. Anyway, so today is pyjama day, it is cooking day, it is stripping the beds and making those. So going to start off, I'm going to, as you can see, there's a few different ingredients here. I'm going to be making a Bolognese and also a Thai chicken or turkey curry for the week. So I'll pop those on, get those going, and I will put any recipes in the details, the description for my videos. So if anybody wants to make them, feel free to have a look. So here we have some chopped onions, some garlic, and then some dried herb de Provence added in there with some extra virgin olive oil. So I'm just going to put that on just to sweat those down, and then I'll add the meat to that, some minced beef. So what I mean by sweating them down is just to sort of cook them through till the onions start to go translucent. You can see that's beginning to happen. And it starts to release the fragrance from the herbs. And whilst that's been happening, I've also chopped up a load of mushrooms. Some will go into the bolognese and some will go into my veggie pot over here, which I started chopping up vegetables yesterday. Some of these will be for Thai green curry, and I'm also going to use some for a turkey pesto pasta dish as well. So as you see, I've got in there some broccoli, some green peppers, some chunky onion. I like my vegetables to be quite chunky. I like the taste of them, so I want them to give some bite and texture to the food that I'm cooking. So we've got in there the mushrooms as well, and I need to chop up some more garlic. So I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll show you that in a minute. So the meat's in, just breaking that up, and I'll mix that in to the onions and the garlic that's already in there, and the herbs, which I'll add more of later. So I'm just going to let that cook in there until it starts to brown, and then I'll add some gravy granules, some tomato puree, and some soy sauce to it. Don't actually have any red wine today, which is a shocker. So I will probably add some chilli sauce to this, and I may add some red wine into it at a later date because it keeps quite well. So as I say, don't need it just yet. So we will cook this up as a batch cook and can always add more to it later. So yeah, let that carry on. So far I have added in 2 OXO cubes, beef OXO cubes, splashing of several sloshes of the Lea & Perrins Worcestershire sauce, and then added in some, in this case I've got some Morrison's tomato paste, puree paste, and I've added in, that was a fresh one, so about that much so far in there, and I'll mix that in. It's difficult doing this one-handed. Right, so continue to allow that to mix, infuse and entwine. I think I'll add some chilli flakes just to give it a little bit of pep. I know traditionally wouldn't do that, but I like a little bit of warmth to my food. Now this might be considered cheating a bit. 2 tins of pulp of tomatoes. So here, these are just from Lidl, and I've got some basilic one. So this is with basil, and this one is with onions and garlic. Now, in future, I hope to grow my own, and then I will just chuck in my own basil and my own onions and garlic. But for now, perfect. And of course, tins are recyclable, so all good stuff. So 2 tins of tomatoes into there, she says. These ones don't seem to want to come out. There we go. And I will scrape those clean before rinsing them and recycling. Perfect. I didn't have any chilli flakes, so I've added that to my shopping list. And because I need the herbs and spices whilst I'm actually cooking this down, I've added in some smoked ground paprika and also some chilli powder. So about that much. Obviously add it to your own tastes, and don't add if you don't want it, but these are just mine and my dad's tastes, so that's who I'm catering for. Now the other thing that I've done is, whilst cleaning out the tomato tins, so one, I've rinsed those into there. So I found that in the UK they're a lot more watery. Over in France they're really just packed purely with the pulp of the tomatoes. Much better quality over here, what you're getting for your money. But at the same time, I'm used to cooking with a bit more fluid in here, and then just sweating that down. So what I will do is, rather than waste any of the juice that was in the tins, I've added a little bit of water, swirled that around in both tins, added them back into one tin, rinsed out the other one on the side, and I will then add those juices I just showed you into this pot, and we will use those. So nothing goes to waste. Okay, so whilst that simmers down over there we go, mixed in the chilli powder and the paprika and, as I say, some additional herb de Provence and that water, those juices. So mixing that all in, letting that sit and marinate. I'll add the mushrooms in a bit, but whilst I'm doing that, I have topped and tailed the garlic cloves here. So what I do is I chop the top and the bottom, and then it makes it easier to peel off the outsides. Now the other thing you can do, if they're proving difficult, is put the flat of a knife and then just press against it, and that will then crack the outside skin to enable you to remove that easier. Now obviously one-handed can't do this, but I can just show you that I have taken the ends off, and then I just use that just to peel. So you can see there, it allows me to peel that skin off. But if they come off completely, the ends, and you don't have a peeling edge, as I say, flat of the knife, and that will allow you to peel those off before chopping. There we go, some naked garlic cloves, and yeah, ready to be chopped, and I'll just chop this all into the compost. And there we have some coarsely chopped garlic. Now I know that was an awful lot of garlic, it was an entire bulb, but it is being split between possibly 2 dishes. So I've got some for a curry, Thai green curry, and another lot, or half of it, will go into the pesto. Because, and I know it comes already with garlic in it, but you can't have enough garlic. There's no such thing. Absolutely love garlic. Now to start the Thai green curry. So instead of olive oil, use coconut oil. It's important that you don't use olive oil because you will split the coconut milk if you mix your different oils. So make sure you've got coconut oil to go with the coconut milk that's going to go in. I learnt the hard way, so make sure you do that. So I'm going to add that, add the milk, and add the vegetables to start sweating those down, and I'm going to add the turkey in a bit. Here we go. So I'm going to chuck in my onions, my coarsely chopped onions, because I don't want fine bits in there. I'm going to chuck in some courgette as well, and some peppers, and my broccoli. Go, find all the broccoli lurking in this pot that I made up yesterday. Get those going. Just lots of yummy vegetables in there, lots of bright green colours. Put in a bit of red onion as well, just to break the colours up. And then mushrooms. And I've drained the water chestnuts and chopped up some ginger. So that's all ready to go in. So there we go, there's the ginger. So I'll pop that in. There we go. Already smells amazing in here. A utensil to stir it with that is not the same one that I'm using for the bolognese. So here we go. This time a plastic one as opposed to a wooden one that I've had for forever. And we're just going to let that wilt down a little bit. This is my Thai green curry paste that I'm using. It's some maypoi, and I just put in quite a dollop of that. Usually it rocks my socks off, but we will see how we go. But we'll put that in a minute. And here we go. Here are the water chestnuts. Again, won't put those in until after I've added the milk, because I don't want them to dry and go hard. If you're going to be using bamboo shoots, don't put those in until the end, otherwise they tend to go very woody, and you don't want that. Okay, just literally emptied in the coconut milk. Depending on the brand, depends on how much coconut milk, cream solid you get in there. So you can hear it settle down, the oil settled down a bit now as the water's gone in. But yeah, this needs to all be mixed through. May need some additional water in there just to help melt down those solids. Mix those through, and once that's all done, I will add in the turkey, which I'm now going to go and chop up. Right, so this is what you get inside of your maypoi tub. Is you get a bag which you snip open. As you can see, I've been using quite a lot of this, and it just looks like, well, green paste, which is what it basically is. Now I'm going to use that much, so I'm just going to try and pour only that much in. As you can see, the cream has melted and blended in. No, Aslan, you can't have any. There we go. So quite a dollop there. As I say, I and my father like things quite spicy, so we are going to have some spiciness in there. So I can just now mix that nicely in. Encourage the cat. Gently down. Down you get. You're not staying in here and you're not having any. Honestly. Be good when I can manage to keep this as a cat-free zone. I don't think I quite get the concept that they're the ones in charge, not me. Oh well. Anyway. Mix that in. Let that melt through. The flavours really come into their own the longer it's left. So I'm just going to pop the lid on that and let that one infuse and entwine and enhance. Wash up and tidy up in preparation for cutting the turkey up. And oh yes, lid on that one. Just like we've done with the bolognese, otherwise they will spit everywhere. But the beauty of these dishes, if you haven't noticed already, is there's no real right or wrong. You can chop your vegetables as finely or as thinly or as chunky as you like, and you put in what vegetables you enjoy eating. So if you don't like onions, don't put in onions. If you don't like mushrooms, don't put in mushrooms. I mean, personally, they're part of my trifecta, you know, mushrooms, onions and garlic. Oh my, I just love those. Can't see why anybody wouldn't like them. And broccoli, yep, that's one of my favourite veggies. Oh, yum, yum, yum. So yeah, but put in what you like, what you enjoy. And occasionally try putting in finely chopped a vegetable you don't necessarily enjoy, just to try it, because our taste buds do change over time. So you never know, something that you once thought repulsive may turn out to be quite yummy. The other day I made some Thai green curry in a batch cook, and now I'm going to make the rice because I'm going to have some tonight, and then I'll probably have some with my dad tomorrow as well. So I'm going to make the coconut rice. Now this is the best recipe that I found for it, so I'm going to take you through this. I use the Thai jasmine rice, and it is 1.5 cups of rice. It's 1 can or 400 grams or mil of coconut milk, and 1.25 cups of water, and 1 teaspoon of sugar and a pinch of salt. Now, the way I tend to measure this out is I measure the rice out in the cups first, because if you do the water first, then the cups become wet and the rice sticks, or you end up having to dry it up, and it's a pain. So it's much easier just pour the rice in, pour it into a separate container, then do the water, the sugar, the salt and the coconut milk, then all go into your pan. So I'll get on with that. One and a half. And these cups are great. These have in them the measurements, so you can see that 1 cup is equal to 250 ml or 8 fluid ounces. Half a cup is 125 ml or 4 fluid ounces. A third of a cup, which we won't actually be using today, but just for reference, is 80 ml or 3 fluid ounces. And 60 ml, which we'll use for the water in a minute, is 1/4 of a cup and 2 fluid ounces. So that's the rice all in there. Just going to set that to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a saucepan with a lid. You're going to put the milk in there, so lait de coco, as it is in France. And this one is tablespoons. And I found them really good for the high concentration of the coconut cream to water ratio. So let me pop that in there. And there we go. Just to give you an idea, it's literally about 50-50 water to cream with this particular brand. So heartily recommend those. Here we go. 1 teaspoon of sugar. I just use caster sugar, but I think you can use any sugar, to be honest with you, because you're going to melt it down. So pop that there. Got a nice liberal pinch of sea salt, crystal sea salt there, and then going to pour in my water. There we go, 1 1/4 cups. Now I'm going to put that on and melt that all down. Keep mixing it so that the sugar and the salt dissolve into there, and then once that's dissolved, then you add in the rice, and you just stir in your rice, bring it to the boil over a sort of medium heat, and cover and reduce it the heat to a simmer so it's not boiling, for about 18 to 20 minutes. Now that's if you're on electric. If you're on gas, you like here, where it's not gas mark 1, 2, it's either on or it's off effectively, then it may take a lot less time. I found it can only take me 10 minutes to do this rice. So once that rice is actually in there. So effectively what you're looking for, so you don't burn it, is making sure that all the moisture is looking like it's beginning to be soaked up. It still look a little bit gloopy. Stir it, make sure it's not sticking to the bottom, make sure it's not burning, and leave the lid on once the rice is done. You're happy with it. I mean, put the lid on once the rice is in, take it off to stir, put the lid back on. But when you're happy that it's done, put that lid back on, turn the heat off, and just let it finish soaking up the rest of that moisture, and the residual heat in the bottom of the pan will then just continue to cook that through, but hopefully without burning it. Certainly hasn't burnt it in my experience. So fingers crossed that'll all turn out well for yourselves as well if you give this a go. I usually also then just sprinkle some desiccated coconut in as well, just so that it's got that lovely coconutty flavour running through it. And then I'll toast up some cashew nuts, just pop those in with a little bit of coconut oil in a different pan and put those through till they start to go golden. You can use either raw ones, or if you want to, you can just heat up some that have already been roasted, or just sprinkle them on the top if you want them cold. It's absolutely fine. So any of those, absolutely perfect to go with your Thai green curry, or if you just want coconut rice with something else. So I'm going to look at putting an Amazon shop together for any of the things that I use, so that it's easy for you to find. And if you want to purchase, then you could just follow the links in my description, and that'll take you to the items in my shop, and you'll be able to purchase anything that's useful to you. There we are. I've just poured the rice in. As you can see, the cream has all melted into the water to make this beautiful milk, and the rice just needs to be stirred in. So and I particularly find just using a flat wooden paddle spoon as opposed to a rounded one better for rice. So just going to stir that all in and let that start soaking up the juices. Oh, and just to be clear, I wouldn't put any desiccated coconut in at this stage. I wouldn't put that in until after it's cooked. Otherwise, it's just going to soak up that moisture, and you want all that moisture for the rice. So, hope that all makes sense. Right, you see this? This was after maybe 8 minutes, so literally just turn it, scoop it over, make sure it's not burning, and take it off heat, off of the hot plate, even if it was on that one there. So I'm just taking it off of there onto a cold one that's not been on, cold ring, and then I will put the lid back on in a moment, because as you can see it's all glistening still, because there's still some fluids in there, but that will just allow it to keep cooking through so that the rice is nice and tender when it's ready. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And after a hard day's work on the house, not much better than a fantastic Thai green curry, homemade, with some toasted cashew nuts. So I'm going to sit down, chill out with some Sex in the City, and enjoy that. Perfect. Thank you for joining me once again at Cottage Tranquility. I hope you found this batch cooking episode of interest and enjoyed it. Please leave any comments, and don't forget that there are details in the description should you wish to replicate any of my recipes. See you again soon for the next episode of Cottage Tranquility.